Was there anything that stuck out in your mind when you were doing this, a very memorable flight, or something where maybe something went wrong that you had to use all your piloting skills to kind of pull it off?
Oh, well, the worst one was we were about 500 miles out of Gander, and we had a runaway propeller. And if you ever hear the noise of a runaway propeller, you'll never have to ask anybody again what's happening. And we finally got it feathered and went back into Gander, and three-engined the airplane back to Kennedy for an engine change. A runaway propeller is a scary situation.
Now, what procedures would you use, say differently, when you had to land this with the 3 props instead of 4? What procedures would you be taking?
Well, number one, as you did your pre-landing checklist, you'd pull if number 4 was feathered, you would pull the circuit breakers on the reverse on number 1 and 4. You would only use the reverse on 2 and 3 after landing. Mm-hmm. And it depends on your weights, what kind of power your landing weight, much power you would pull.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, moving on from flying with the Connie overseas and stuff, you went on to fly jets after that, didn't you?
I flew a Jet Commander out of Dayton,
Mm-hmm.
North American Rockwell Jet Commander.
Uh-huh. Now, how many passenger was that?
It was a small corporate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A luxury liner. And where would you fly that? Would that be?
Well, the company I worked for were the distributor for the airplane, and most of our trips would be demonstration and sales flights.
Ah, okay. So you got to see a lot of the top brass around in the corporate world around the country.
Sure did.
Okay. Is there anybody that you met, like, let's say, like a Donald Trump type character or something like that? Do you ever meet anybody like that who might be interested in buying his own jet for the firm?
Well, this is a smaller jet, is not the type that Trump would use.
Uh-huh.
These were just moderate companies,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them had a good bottom line.
Now, can you tell me what was your favorite aircraft? Now, you've flown like the small corporate jet, you've flown the Connie, you flew military cargo. What was your favorite aircraft to fly? If you were gonna fly again, you could go back and pick the aircraft right off the line. Which one would you like to fly?
Connie was a nice flying airplane, plus the most beautiful airplane in the air that you could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm. I know there's just a few of those left around right now. A few have been restored. I remember seeing one that the Australians restored. It was a Qantas, and they managed to fly it back very gingerly. I guess the engines were a little worn after all these years of use and things, and they did manage to fly it back, But so the Connie was it, okay?
It was a nice airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim showing the picture
Okay.
on the back.
We'll put it in. Oh, okay.
Okay. And this is a super.
That's a Super G.
Mm-hmm.
9720 Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And I've flown that airplane many times.
Uh-huh.
That actual airplane.
That actual airplane we have here.
Yes.
Okay. And it said top speed again was.
We would kind of baby the engines at about 250, 260 knots.
Uh-huh. Okay. And this is you'd fly this on the European leg.
I've also flown it on the Pacific.
Oh, really? Okay. Now, on the Pacific run, where would you fly this to? Would you go to, say, Hawaii? Would you go to Japan with this?
We would go to Hawaii and go to Philippines, Japan, but most times going into Japan, we would fly the northern route, go into Anchorage or Cold Bay,
Okay.
and going down to Japan. But I've been into Wake Island with the Connies.
With the Connie on those particular routes there, what would be the longest you could fly without stopping for refueling somewhere in the Pacific?
Well, we would go from the West Coast up to Anchorage or Cold Bay, sometimes into Adak, down on the chain.
And then you go over the top, then fly into Japan
Yeah.
in the Philippines and things like that. Okay, and this was a passenger configuration.
That's
on,
right.
On this particular aircraft that you were the
Yeah,
passenger configuration.
but we had convertibles.
Oh, you did?
It could either be passengers or freight.
Okay.
We also had one that hauled livestock.
Really?
We went to Japan with breeding hogs. It took about a Kansas City. Took a load of cattle out of O'Hare at Chicago and Anita at Tokyo. I think they were for the newspaper owner of the Tokyo paper for his ranch. These cattle came off of the Curtis Ranch just north of, over in Wisconsin, just north of Illinois.
Now, when you were leaving the West Coast, how long would it take you to get to, say, if you're going to Japan, you're going through say Anchorage and you fly to Japan? About how many hours flight time would that be?
I'm just going to give you an estimate, but it would probably be pretty close to 18 or 20 hours.
That's How many stops would you have on that?
Well, you would, if you're out of the West Coast, you would have one stop or maybe two, depending on your load
Okay.
and the winds.
In the winds, okay, that's right there. Now, a little bit earlier, we were just kind of talking in advance of the show here.
Before I want to get any further,
Yeah.
when we hauled the cattle out of Chicago, we put 23 Herefords on at O'Hare, stopped at Seattle and put 2 bulls on. And it kind of alarmed the crew. But we had a vet traveling with them, and they said they've been conditioning them for 2 weeks. They'll be all right.
Oh my! I don't know if I'd want to be flying, be in the back of that thing, try to keep those bulls away from those heifers there.